For centuries, tales have echoed across the windswept fjords of the north. Stories of women who fought not behind, but beside men, charging into battle with shield in hand and fire in their hearts. They were called Shieldmaidens. As we continue this journey through Viking legend here on Weaver's Nest, don't forget to subscribe for more untold truths and myth-busting history. Legends like Lagertha and Brynhilda have inspired books, TV shows, and entire movements. But how much of what we know is truth, and how much is myth? Today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the Viking Age's most enigmatic figures. And what we find might just change the way we see history, power, and even womanhood itself. The word Shieldmaiden or Skjaldmær comes to us not from battlefield records, but from sagas. Take Lagertha, for instance. Her name bursts into history through Gesta Danorum, a 12th century chronicle by Saxo Grammaticus. He writes of a fierce woman warrior who fought alongside the legendary Ragnar Lothbrok. Sound familiar? That's because Lagertha became a central character in the TV series Vikings 2013-2020, portrayed by Catherine Winnick, bringing the legend to life for a new generation. But Saxo's writing isn't history in the modern sense. He lived centuries after the Viking Age and likely blended oral tradition with Christian moralism and classical warrior tropes. In fact, Saxo often described powerful women as unnatural, which casts doubt on his objectivity. Then there's Brynhilda, a Valkyrie from the Poetic Edda and the Volsunga Saga. Her story, packed with magic, betrayal, and vengeance, deeply influenced Richard Wagner's Ring Cycle operas and inspired the 2021 film The Northman, where echoes of Shieldmaiden mythology run wild. But Brynhilda wasn't a real person. She was a mythic archetype, representing strength, wisdom, and often tragic fate. So where does that leave us? Are Shieldmaidens pure fiction, or could they have roots in reality? While most women didn't fight in battle, Viking society offered them far more autonomy than many of their medieval European counterparts. They could own land, inherit property, and even divorce their husbands, as shown in the Icelandic Gragas law codes. A woman wronged could demand compensation, and in some cases, retain custody of her children. Graves with household keys, such as those found at Oseberg in Norway, weren't symbolic trinkets. They were literal symbols of a woman's authority over her domain. Viking women managed farms, ran trade operations, and held the community together while men raided or explored. And through their textile work, they made sails, vital for Viking ships and trade. Historian Judith Jesch, in her groundbreaking book Women in the Viking Age, argues that the idea of passive Viking women simply doesn't hold up under scrutiny. The evidence shows them as active participants in both economy and culture. Power, it seems, didn't always wear armor. Now, here's where legend meets soil. In 1889, a grave was uncovered in Birka, Sweden, labeled BJ 581. It was elaborate. 2 horses, a sword, axe, spear, arrows, gaming pieces used in military strategy. For over a century, it was assumed the burial was male. But in 2017, a team led by Charlotte Hedenstierna Johnson used DNA analysis to confirm something shocking. The bones belonged to a biologically female individual. Published in the journal American Journal of Physical Anthropology, the study shook the academic world. This wasn't a token burial. The layout mirrored that of high-ranking military personnel. But what does it mean? Was she truly a warrior commanding troops? Or were the weapons symbolic, signifying status or even ritual? As archaeologist Neil Price notes in The Viking Way, identity in the Viking Age wasn't always strictly defined by gender. The Birka grave doesn't prove an army of Shieldmaidens, but it suggests that at least some women could assume martial roles when circumstances allowed. The legacy of the Shieldmaiden is no longer confined to ancient texts. She lives on in literature, film, and pop culture. Documentaries like PBS's Viking Warrior Queen, BBC's Vikings Unearthed, and National Geographic's Viking Warrior Women have explored this mystery with scientific depth and visual storytelling. Authors like Nancy Marie Brown, in her book The Real Valkyrie, go even further, reimagining the Birka woman's life through fact-based historical fiction. Today, these stories empower. They challenge outdated narratives about gender roles and remind us that history has always been more complex than we thought. In a world still grappling with gender equality, the idea that women could hold power, legal, economic, spiritual, and even martial, over 1,000 years ago, is as inspiring as it is humbling. So, what do you believe? Was the Birka warrior a lone exception or part of a forgotten tradition? Are you more drawn to the myth of Lagertha or the daily strength of Viking women who held their families and farms together? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your take on this legend. And if you loved uncovering the truth behind Viking legends, hit that like and subscribe to join Weaver's Nest, where myth meets fact and history comes alive. Skull.